Hi, this is our group project one, and this is our team ACES, also known as Group 7. I'm the leader, Harry. I have Shannon with me. We decided to do a blackjack table. Next one. So our objective was to create an interactive and engaging card dealer demo. It would have the table, the cards, the basic layout of the game, and we would do it using only HTML and CSS. Next slide. So our motivation was that we played multiple games, web games that rely on JavaScript. So how are we to make a game that will work only using HTML and CSS? So the goal was to use transforms, animations, transitions, and keyframes to kind of emulate cards being dealt out, and replaying the game, showing the winners, starting the game, all of those things without any kind of JavaScript. Next slide. The concept we came up with just to have a traditional looking blackjack card table, which would have a green surface, a felt surface, a little zone for the dealer, and a zone for the players. These are some of the colors we chose. Use felt one and felt two to gradient design to it. The layout, we use Flexbox and Grid for the layout to create the main homepage and the dealer area and player boxes and how the cards would be laid out along with the chips. The responsiveness, as it says, it scales to desktop and table screens, mobile handheld screens. We used bold neon text, emulate casinos, and neon lights. We use red for the neon lights, pulse effects, underlines for that too. Next slide. Some of the core features for this project were shuffle animations, which shows the cards being dealt out to the players and the dealer. We use keyframes for those to move the deck. The cards were images, so we use keyframes to move the images to exact positionings for the players and the dealers. And that goes into the deal sequence, which is the card sliding out using transform, translate X and translate Y coordinates, and a bit of animation delay. We also added chip hover effects, so that will be demonstrated in the demo. So once you hover on the chips, it emulates a light and it also gets highlighted. And the CSS variables that were used to add a bit of design to it, the different gradient, like I mentioned before, for the table itself, the homepage, and there was an accessibility option for this option, tablets and mobile devices. So more goals that we implemented 3D perspectives for depth on the cards, dealer burn card. So when dealer throws away a card and starts the game, hover peak when you hover over, like I mentioned before, hover over the chips and the different parts of the actual demo, you'll see that there's hover effects added and animation added. Next slide. This is just one little snippet of the code. This is the first dealer card that was dealt. This is a keyframe. As you can see, it translates from 0 for both coordinates to X and Y. That basically flips out the card, deals out the card so that it sticks to a certain position. And the hover effect is also a demo. When you hover over the chips, it scales up the chips. Like I said earlier, it makes it bigger, it makes it highlighted. And there's also a color highlight added, a little bit of shadow added, so that it's visually highlighted even more. Next slide. Next one. Yeah. So we use the Kanban methodology. It wasn't as linear, but we started with the basic layouts. First step of order were to start with the skeleton. Then we moved on to creating the home page. Then eventually we added the actual card images, chip images, and eventually adding animations to them and really just topped it off with some polish of positioning and cleaner animations. The tools you use with Discord to communicate and GitHub to update code and push commit codes to keep it on remote and local storage of both of us working on it. Next slide. We tested after the final changes. We did test animations across multiple browsers. Like I mentioned earlier, we added animation delay for different browsers or different devices. We checked for ratios throughout different devices and browsers and made sure layout remained intact and fixed on different browsers and devices. Slide. Challenges we faced throughout the project, I think, were getting the animation timing right because there are multiple cards involved. You have the dealer, you have the players. So getting them all precise and timing them correctly, figuring that out were a challenge. And as it says, keeping positioning consistent throughout different browsers and devices, that was a super challenge. Didn't do it clean, but I feel like we learned a lot from it. Visual effects and performance, getting a good balance of the right amount of animation and visual additions while also keeping it clean. And performance wise, keeping it consistent was also a challenge. I feel like we overcame that. Final product is very clean and also has a good balance of visual additions. And like I said, we use only CSS and HTML, so we use animations, CSS keyframes, transformations, and transitions. Next slide. And finally, we ended up with a fully animated blackjack user interface, only CSS. It is a regular looking blackjack table. Cards are dealt out. Get a winner. You can restart the animation. The impact, as it says, that CSS alone can be used to create interactive motion. While you cannot create a complete game, you can make an animation that emulates the feeling of being at a blackjack table. Next slide. So this is the link to our GitHub where we posted and committed all our changes regularly. And this is the COD server link where the project is uploaded. We are both going to upload it individually and eventually also going to upload this video on YouTube channel and Google Drive link. I'll send it over to my teammate for a demo for it.